everybody. So I thought we make another one of my favorite cakes today, which is called Russische Zupftorte. Now that's a mouthful, even in German, trust me. So essentially, you can't translate it. It's a I don't know where the name comes from. That's just the name my grandmother told me. So essentially, it's a Russian layer cake or a Russian pinch cake or whatever you want to do it. It's in 3 layers. So we have a base and a top layer, and that's like a crumble with cocoa powder, and then in the middle we have another layer with my favorite ingredient in baking, quark. So we're making the crumble first. So I already have in my bowl 400 grams of just general flour, 200, sorry I haven't got in there yet, I've got the dry ingredients, 200 sugar, a pinch of salt, a little bit of vanilla sugar, just a sort of a heaped tablespoon, and 7 grams of baking powder, or like a heaped teaspoon kind of thing. And we need to add to that 40 grams of cocoa. There you go, just simple cocoa powder. You can low quality, high quality, up to you. And 200 grams of margarine. Now normally for crumble I would use butter, but for the filling we already have 200 grams of butter, and it becomes really rich if you have butter in both. So I'm just gonna add, like I've got the dry ingredients, I'm just gonna use my scale and add the other stuff into the bowl via the scale. I just add it on. So you just need to put it on 0, so you know what you're doing. I'll just use a spoon and put my 200. Oops, no, come off of March. And you need to use a margarine that is able to be baked. Some of them don't. There you go, that's 200. So they have a little thing here on the side, and that allows you to use for baking and cooking. Right. Oh, oops. And then we put it back onto 0. And add 40 cocoa powder. You can use a spoon. I'm just a bit lazy. Oh no, hang on, that was just 20. There you go, 40. And then we use our trusted hands again, as we're done with a normal crumble, and just mix it all together. There you go. So you just mix it all together. Oh, I almost forgot an egg. Almost forgot my egg. So there you go. That goes when you have to do it with the camera. I was wondering why it's so dry. So make it a nice kind of, crumbly mix. And it will taste really yummy with chocolate. And rightio, so this is now, there you go, kind of a crumble. Smells amazing of chocolate. So that's that part done. So this is basically our base and our top. And now we go to the filling. Right, so we made the crumble. Now the filling. And the filling is, as I mentioned, quark based. So for the filling we need 500 grams of quark. Now I get this one, there's a cheese factory not too far from here, and luckily they deliver to our local Foursquare. I think they deliver to New World in the Bay of Islands as well. But you may have to have a look in your, probably New World is the best chance, or Farmer's Market, or you make your own. So it's called quark. It's a very, in Germany this is cheap as chips. So that's 500 grams. The other thing you will need is 250 grams of butter. And we actually start with that. And I'm using a kitchen machine today for this one, because it's just easier to, you know, mix all these sort of things together. So they all go in. Oh, hopefully they go all in. Right, so I've got my butter. I'm using this attachment because it's gonna get a bit thick, so it's not, you know, it's not just cream. And I start off with mixing the butter and creaming the butter. It just makes it easier. But before I do that, I'll tell you the other ingredients. So 250 butter, so half a block, right? 500 quark, we already mentioned that. 250 sugar, just simple white sugar. 3 eggs, and either a heaped tablespoon of Edmund's custard powder, or I've mentioned this one before, or half a pack of vanilla pudding. Those are the ones that I'm using. I get these from Germany, but you get them in some European specialty shops as well from other countries. So half a pack vanilla flavor. And a pinch of salt. And if you have some more vanilla sugar or vanilla essence, sort of to taste really, that's up to you. So we start off by creaming the butter. And start on a low. So that's my butter, kind of creamed a little bit, you know, sort of softened and fluffy and all that. Now the next thing I do is I put the sugar in. So, and put it back down and give it another swirl. So that makes it really nice and creamy. Scrape the sides. You can do this by hand, but right, and then add your eggs. One at a time. So 3 eggs. You notice how this is getting much creamier now. And last but not least, you know, normally you would put them in a cup before you put them in the bowl, just to make sure that there is no bad egg in there. I'm kind of taking a risk. Give it another scrape with your little spatula, because it's some bits and pieces. That are stuck. So last but not least, oops, that's what happens. So half a pack, or 1 heaped tablespoon of custard powder, and most importantly, the quark. So it's essentially, quark is sour milk. So when you get raw milk or fresh milk, so you have the butter collecting at the top of the If you let it just sit in a pot, the butter will collect at the top, right? And then if you let it go sour, what you will get is this quark, and then the liquid is buttermilk. Now you can help this along with some culture or lemon juice, but you can buy it. Rightio, so that's very well mixed through now, and now we get to assemble the cake. Rightio, so this is our quark mixture. See, it's quite creamy kind of thing. Here's our crumble, and I have greased just a standard kind of baking form, spring form, with some margarine. You can, if you want, line it with baking paper if that is easier for you. That's up to you. So you start with a tin, or preheat your oven to 180 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, so 180 degrees Celsius. And you just put your crumble mix, sort of 2/3 of it, down in the base. And make it like, like a crumble. Nice and loose, Make sure you get it right to the sides. And then you leave, a little bit for the top later. And you want it to have this kind of crumbly texture. And then you pour your quark mixture right on top. Go. Oops, and sort of make sure it fills all the little holes. So what happens is all this sort of liquidy kind of filling will go in between those crumbs, and it makes it look uneven. I think that's where that name comes from. And then you just crumble the remaining cocoa crumbs on top. You don't need to fill it all the way up. You don't need to fill all the gaps. It's actually quite nice if you have some gaps in there. Right, and then you pop that in the oven, sort of on the middle rack, 180 degrees for about 40 minutes, depending on your oven. My one is fan driven, so sort of the heat gets all around it, so it's a 30 minutes I check, but it might be 40 to 50 minutes, because it's hard to see with the cocoa when it's done. So use a wooden spoon and just, if it comes, poke it in. If it comes out clean with no sort of liquidy things attached to it, that's when it's done. And I'll pop the photo of the final result at the end of the video. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Happy baking.